Hey. How's it all going out there in post-apocalyptica? Hope you've got your rad screen on. Yes, it's me, William Dymock-Johnson, talking today about, about various types of setting. The first one being the post-apocalyptic setting, mainly emphasized by games such as Gamma World, Aftermath, and I can't remember the other one, and in which civilization has fallen. The world, as we know it, has ended. And now you have to survive amongst the ruins and the wasteland. Oh, Twilight 2000, that was the other one, yes. World War III actually happened in the 1980s, and now you're stuck in Germany somewhere trying to get back home. So, what are the benefits of a post-apocalyptic setting? Well, the main thing is that your party, your band of heroes, your PCs, can be this lone band on their own. There's no more explanation needed for why they are this band of adventurers or ne'er-do-wells or freebooters or soldiers of fortune out for themselves, because that's the setting. Everyone is out for themselves. You are this band of people trying to survive from day to day against the various weirdnesses and horrors and vicissitudes of your post-apocalyptic setting. So you are a bunch of people who have been thrown together. So it doesn't matter if, one of you is a cyber knight and the other's some sort of awakened witch and another one is some shambling mutant mass. Because you've all been brought together, you all have this need to survive. You need to live. And also, you have this need to be together. You have this innate reason to cooperate. And this is good in a role-playing game. You want a reason to cooperate with the other party members. And being a band of survivors in post-apocalyptica gives you a baked-in reason right away, off the bat. And that is good. That is what is good about it. That is an excellent thing. The other thing you can have in post-apocalyptica is they can be weird. They can be strange. Take some of the classic settings, Gamma World, where you have people wielding stop signs as shields and trying to figure out mundane devices from the 23rd century, I think Gamma World comes from, and trying to work out, is this thing you're monkeying around with, this piece of loot that you found, is it a ray gun? Is it a med scanner? Or is it a toaster? And you've got to, and as a GM, you've got to have a level of fun describing these arcane, weird devices in ways that sound eerily familiar, but not quite right to the players. So that they don't have an idea whether they're talking about a med scanner, a ray gun, or a toaster. It could be any of those things, but which one is it? And some of the older games had those laughingly amusing little flowchart tables, roll the dice, make a skill check, go here, 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 here. The thing blows up, or you work out how to use the thing, or it does its effect, but you have no idea why. You've just somehow triggered on a sequence of button pushes or voice commands or whatever else you do with it. You've managed to hold it the right way to do the thing. Now you know how to do the thing, but you don't really know what it does, what it is. It could still be a toaster. It's just that it's designed that you've flipped the switch up really high, and now you can toast bread at 500 paces and fry people at 100. Great, you've made your own heat ray from a toaster. Hope the batteries last. So you've got weird things like that. You get mutants in many of the weirder settings. Not something as more mundane like Twilight 2000, but you get mutants. You get strangenesses. What was it? The mutant future has the spider goat. It's emblematic of just how weird and wonderful the setting is. Spiders mutated into goats. They spin silk and they go bar a lot. It's just bizarre. Fallout, the computer game series, has all those weird and strange monsters you meet. Giant scorpions that seem to be the size of small cars, and the big werewolfy things, deathclaws, I believe they're called. So you get to have mutants, strangenesses, weird things that are not of this earth, or not of any earth. And the players have got to work out how to deal with these weirdnesses. And, in your more baroque setting, you can be a mutant. You could be a mutant. Aftermath, I believe you could be a mutant. Rifts, you could be practically anything. You could be a mutant, you could be an awakened magic user, or you could be something that is being sucked through the dimensional rifts from another dimension entirely. You could be anything. You could be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in Rifts. And no one really blinks an eye. You're just this weird alien or this weird mutant, or this awakened creature that now is sentient or sapient, and it has to deal with all the problems that entails. I mean, your average tortoise doesn't really have to deal with ethical conundrums such as, who am I? What is my purpose in life? What do I do now? How do I make a difference? It's a turtle. It's a tortoise. An awakened tortoise, one that can use tools and reason and think, has all these problems. And additionally has the problem of, how the hell do I make more of me? So that's something life tends to want to do. And so you have all these other interesting, you have strangenesses, many strangenesses in Apocalyptica. And they are interesting, they are weird, they are fun to encounter and deal with. You also have other survivors. And here you can have everything from society degenerating into Mad Max style anarchy, and they do zoom around, and cars and machines, and you have bandits, also probably mutants and pigmen and other weirdnesses as a constant danger. This idea that society has completely collapsed and has gone barbarous. There are warlords. There are maniacs. There are no big institutions in post-apocalyptica. As someone who can call together a band of 100 other followers is a big threat. And this is good, because unlike in other settings, the threats are on a scale equal to a band of PCs. 100 angry dudes on motorcycles, machine guns, and nunchucks, and some of them have hoverboards, is a big threat to 5 to 6 people trying to make their way from A to B. And there's this huge threat, this ravaging horde that might just wipe out the town that they're going to and cause them problems. So it becomes they become more manageable, understandable threats. They become more personal to the PCs. The PCs aren't really threatened by the Empire and, say, Star Wars, or, Nazi Germany, and if you're playing a World War II spy thrill game, you can't, you're threatened by them in an abstract sense that, when their goons show up, you have to deal with their goons, or, their armies suddenly rumble across the landscape, but they become more of a force of nature. The Empire is just this thing in Star Wars. Many kingdoms and fantasy games are just there. You can't get rid of them. You can't really alter them. You can't really change them, because they have their own lines of succession and whatnots, and organizations, and they're just big institutions. They might help or hinder the PCs as they see fit, but they are not personal. Lord Humongous, or Pongo Gutbag and his Legion of Doom, can be a much more personal threat. The leader villain can go up to the party and deal their monologue, and the PCs can deal with them however they see fit. Do they follow them? Do they not follow them? Do they listen to them? They think, oh, this is a great idea. This guy is rebuilding civilization violently, brutally. But, we can sort of see that there's going to be some violence inherent in the system. Some eggs are going to be broken to make this omelette that we call the new society. Yeah, we can get behind this guy. We can follow Pongo Gutbag. We can become part of the Legion of Doom. Where do we sign up? So they become more personal things. They can become patrons. And eventually, the PCs can decide, yeah, Pongo Gutbag, he's actually a brutal totalitarian nutcase. Let's get rid of him. We can be in charge. We can be the lead. We can be the new leaders of Legion of Doom. And it's possible and plausible, and you can think about it and go, yeah, that would happen. So you have the anarchy side of civilization. Humanity is just gone, complete menace. And then you've got the people who have banded together, have rebuilt, have built towns and places of safety. And these are good in a game. They become rare. It is not like a typical fantasy game where you go from place to place, from A to B to C to D to E, and they're all the bloody same. Town A is Town B with a different name and maybe a different person in charge, and maybe there are more orcs there, or more Devonians, or Planet C isn't really any different from Planet D, except that there's more action in swamps in Planet C, because an established civilization is too vast, it is too big to describe. Post-apocalyptic can be very small and personal. Town A and Town B might be 300 miles apart and might be completely different. And because a lot of your action involves going between A and B, because that travel in itself is a dangerous encounter, because of Pongo Gutbag and his Legion of Doom, then both cities can become unique, interesting. Both can supply. You can have 2 places or 3 places, 4, whatever, however crazy you get. And if each place provides a certain service or has a certain tone or character, then it becomes very interesting. You want to preserve Town A, you want to preserve Town B, because they provide these measures of security, these measures of safety, and they also provide these services. If you're playing more magical games, say with Rifts, if the Magical Academy of Yule is only in Yule, and your awakened magi are going to want to preserve Yule, because if Yule goes, there's no more magical academies, no more place where they can go and learn how to control their ever-increasing powers and develop them, or develop them faster, or learn about them. On the other hand, in the town of Karsus has an actual functioning armory that can produce semi-good automatic weapons, and that becomes a very valuable thing. Maybe they can supply you with bullets. So there's always a lot of bullets in modern futuristic post-apocalyptica. Maybe the town of Hyra has one of the few remaining places where there is a big store of fusion batteries. Fusion batteries are the things which power your energy guns, your power armor, your shield generators, all those other wonderful technological magical widgets that you found out in post-apocalyptica. So the centers of civilization become very important, very interesting. You can form personal connections with them all, because they will be small places. They won't be larger than what most of us consider a village these days. A community of 2,000 people becomes this big town, this important place, this hive of industry, this place which is rebuilding, and you can either spoil and raid it and loot it, if that's your thing, or you can try and preserve it. You can see, oh yes, this is very useful. We need them to expand. We need them to have a bit more farmland around. We need them to be able to trade with Yule and Karsus and Hara. So we will set up trade routes. We can protect them. We can do these things. So that is another great thing about post-apocalyptica. Each town can be individual. You start thinking about only a few places because it's very small. It's very personal. Everything is very tight. It's not this huge, vast scope. You can have this huge, vast scope. You can know what's going on in post-apocalyptic Australia and post-apocalyptic Canada and post-apocalyptic Ipswich. But if you're centered around, the old ruins of Wash Ing Tong, then really you only need to know about what's around Wash Ing Tong. So you can have that. Then you have ruins, and who doesn't like a good ruin and a good RPG? You go in and you kick out all the residents, and you deal with the strange mutant creatures, and you loot the bizarre technological wonders of the past age. And again, go through that thing of working out what they are. Are they a toaster? Are they a ray gun? Are they a meat scanner? Are they a Nintendo Game Boy? But you have ready-made dungeons. You have reasons for them to be there. You have old sewers and underneath cities. You have forgotten military bunkers. You have bizarre scientific establishments, or you even just have blasted out ruins of maybe even your home neighborhood. You can think of your home neighborhood. What does the mall look like? Where's the library? Where's the police station? Where were the buildings that were most likely to, which buildings were most likely to survive whatever disaster happened, and which places would be burnt out husks? And you can go scavenging through them, looking through them, exploring. There's a lot of exploration in post-apocalyptica, because wherever you come from a very small place, and your world becomes ever, ever increasingly bigger. And so exploring, even the familiar, what it used to be the familiar, now becomes the strange, the dangerous. Those houses out there, those burnt out shells, those things which are sort of just standing up. Never mind, they've been standing up for 3 centuries or whatever. Don't care about that. What is the feel? What is the look of the place? It's ruins. Ruins are everywhere. You don't have to go far out into the wilds, because just beyond whatever borders of civilization, that's where the ruins begin. That's where the monsters begin. That's where all the crazy messed up stuff begins. So you can have those. You can have high motorway interstates and highways, and the big structures there. Do people live under those? Do things live under those? Are they regarded as landmarks? Are there toll booths? Are there petty dictators who decide that you will pay a toll to go past their bit of road? Or is it even that a burnt out shell of a bridge forms a wonderful defensive structure, so people have built on it? So you have a small town based on, say, half a bridge, half the Golden Gate Bridge, say, and everyone lives at the end where no one can really get to, except for the big swarming tentacle monster from the bay. But that's something else your players can deal with. So you have that. You have ruins everywhere. Everywhere can be a new ruin. Everywhere can be, you can find an access port down into some secret underground military lair. It doesn't have to make sense, because it's post-apocalyptic. It's weird. It's bizarre. Here is the strange thing. Think of the Fallout games. You had those vaults where they were running those strange psychological experiments. Never mind that, that was done at the same time as there was a nuclear war and the end of the world. But there was all those weird psychological experiments. So you had the vaults in Fallout. They have very strange places to go to. And you have these dungeons, for want of a better term. And then the dungeons are mysteries and weirdnesses and strange things to explore. So that is a great part of post-apocalyptica. And so this is why you should consider the post-apocalyptic setting. There are no great institutions in place. There are only these small places which need your help to survive. And post-apocalyptica, the party does make a difference. A band of 3 to 10 individuals can be a potent force, especially if in those game systems the PCs get to be super special people. So they become more potent than even Pongo Gutbag and Legion of Doom, or you can become the Legion of Doom. So you have these personal things there, this personal threat, but you also have this big, bad, wild, crazy setting. So those are some of my thoughts on post-apocalyptica and how wild and crazy and interesting it is. Before you think it's all just science fiction or near future, you can have post-apocalyptica totally in your traditional fantasy game system, where the cities are hundreds of miles apart. There's no real big structure, and there are ruins everywhere. So your traditional fantasy setting is pretty post-apocalyptic as it is. I mean, if you live in danger of owlbears eating you, if you try and get from castles to Fool, then, well, you're in a post-apocalyptic setting, baby. Especially if it's not the owlbears, it's definitely the mind flayers. So yeah, there are some thoughts on post-apocalyptica. Thank you.